Hey guys, welcome back. In last lecture I introduced you variables. In this lecture we'll continue with functions. Without any further waiting, let's start and I will show you wireframe first. So here you can see how you can define a function. You will start a special keyword, function. So you'll write function, space, name of your function. So in this example, print word. Then you will specify normal brackets. And inside you can specify optional function parameters. So you can see I'm specifying here message parameter. I can use inside of this function. I am consoling logout message, and this part inside of the curly brackets is called function body. Right? So you will write curly brackets, and here is a function body that will be executed. So here I am consoling logout message I sent to this function. I will create the same function in our example, so don't worry, you will understand it. And then I am returning from here value true. Okay, so let's create some functions. Let's start. Go to your coding editors. And we will start pretty simple. We will create a simple function to print out some person informations. Okay, so actually let's comment all of this here. We don't need it here. We can mark it as a variables lecture. Okay, so I will comment this, all of this. You can just select everything like this, and then command or control and a slash like this. All right, so this was for a second lecture, so I'll mark it as a variables. All right, and let's continue with our function. So I will create here function, and the functions are very useful when you want to create a reusable functionality. Okay, so you want to reuse some functionality, or you want to do some computation. You want to repeat any number of times. Okay, so let's see it on an example. I will create here a simple function, and let's say you want to print here our user information. So print user info. Okay, simple function. As you can see, function keyword, space, function name, normal brackets, curly brackets, and I can simply write here console log, and inside console link log out person informations like this. Let's press save. Let's go back to our browsers. And let's go to our Vue to do, and I will inspect this page, and let's see if we will see console log in our console. And what do you think? What do you think we will see here? Let's refresh. And you're right, we are seeing only hello world. So where is our console log from our new function? Let's go back to our coding editors. And let's take a look. So print user info is here. We are not consoling logout because this is a function declaration. When you want to call your function, you want to execute your function, you need to call it. So you will just write here your function name. So I'm referencing here my function name I specified. So print user info, and then I will specify here normal brackets, and I'm saying to my browser engine to execute this function. Okay, you can write here also debugger like this. Let's save this and let's go back to our browsers. Let's wait for refresh, and you will see we are jumping into the debugger, and here we are before line print user info. Okay, so now when you will go on this line, so step over an function call, now we are stepping on this function, and we want to execute this. Here you can see this arrow, step into next function call. This will step into a function. So we are executing function, we want to step into, click on this, and we are getting inside of our function print user info. So now we are executing this function console log, consoling log out person informations. So when I will resume script execution, you will see that we are getting here console log, consoling log out person informations. Amazing, so it's working. Let's go back to our coding editors. And now we can reuse this function as many times as we want. So I can call here print user info, and this always will call the same function we specified here. Okay? All right, so this was first very simple example, but I told you that we can provide params to our function. Okay? So let's specify here some params. I will write here, let's say user. So this is the param I want to send into this function. And let's say my user will be object, and I want to display my user first name and the last name. First, I will create some users. Okay, so we'll create your variable, let's say person, and this will be object. So as I told you, var in space, name of your variable, equal sign, and a value you want to assign. When you want to assign object, you are specifying curly brackets like this. All right, so this person will have a name. So I will specify here key of a name, and this will be Philip. All right, and you can specify also last name. So last name like this, and this will be my last name. And then I will create second object, var person1, and this will be again object, and I will specify here name. This will be John, and the last name will be Snow. Okay, and you can see I cannot change it for a person. If I will change it to a person, now the conflict will happen. I cannot have a variable with the same name, and it actually doesn't make a sense. Variable names should be unique. All right, so I don't, because our browser will not know which variable to use this one or this one. Okay, so this one is person and this one is person1. All right, so now we want to print user info. We know that our object has two keys, name and the last name containing values. All right, so we are receiving here this user, or actually we are not receiving here anything yet, but we know that we want to send here a user, and we want to console out, let's say, hello and person, the name and the last name. Okay, so let's write here console log, and let's write here, let's write here hello and first name, last name. Okay, so hello. Okay, now when you will write here your user, this will behave as a string, so you need to write here plus. This will add this value from your object to this string. So let's make here hello space plus, and let's say user dot name. So I didn't talk about this, but this is how you are accessing your object keys, okay, your object properties. Okay, actually I think this needs to be debugged. So I will write here console logs, two console logs. So how you want to access your object person name? You have two options. You can write here person dot name. So there is a dot syntax. You can access on an object person property name. So you're accessing your property by its name, by its key, which is a name. All right. So you can do the same with the last name. All right. Or you have an option to use square bracket syntax like this, and you can access your name, but you need to provide your string like this, and the same person last name. Perfect. Okay, so when we run this code, you should see here Philip Jerga and a second time Philip Jerga. Okay. Okay, let's refresh this, and you should see my name in a console, Philip Jerga, Philip Jerga. All right. So now you know how you can access your object properties, and let's continue with this assignment. What we are working on. So I will remove this console log. Since you know how to assign your properties on the objects, we know how to access our username, right? So hello, username, and a plus space, and a plus, and the user, and the last name. Perfect. All right, and let's save this, and let's go back to our browsers. All right, so at the refresh page, and now we are getting before our print user info. All right, let's click here on this down arrow. So we'll get inside of our function body, and you can see here our user here is undefined. So what is happening? Why is this user is undefined? Of course, it's undefined because we are not passing any values inside of our function. In our function declaration, we are expecting to receive user, but we didn't provide to this function anything. That's why we have here undefined, and when you will go to next line, you're trying to access undefined. So you are trying to access a name on an undefined, and you can see here error here, cannot read property name of undefined. This error is saying that this property name here cannot be accessed on an undefined, and that's true. This user is undefined, and this will throw an error, and this will be not very nice. So you can see here error. All right, so fix is very simple. Let's get back here, and very simply we'll call here print user info, and we'll pass here person, and simply we'll call second user information. So I will call the same function, but this time I will pass here person2 informations. All right, very simple. Let's save this. Let's write debugger now inside of the function. Okay, let's go back to our browsers. All right, and let's see this. So you can see we are calling first function, we are passing person, which is our first person, with the name of a Philip, last name Jerga. When I will forward this, you will see console log out person information. When I will skip this line, you will see in the console log log out person informations. All right, and then hello, our username, which is a Philip, so user object accessing a name property, which is a Philip plus space plus user last name, which is a Jerga, and this will print out when we will step into next line information hello Philip Jerga, and that's it. When we will go to next debugger, so I will continue execution. This will execute this script and we will stop into a next debugger. Since we are calling our second function, since we are calling the same function but with a person too, we will step inside of a debugger and we will call this function with our second user, as you can see here. And actually I specified here wrong person. This should be person 1. My mistake. Very simple fix. We should access here person 1 because we didn't specify any person 2. Alright, so one more time, let's save this. Let's go back to our browsers. Refresh and you will see we are getting user and we will forward execution, so resume script execution. I'm getting here second person and this is my second person with the name of a John and last name Snow, and I will console log out this information. Alright, and here it is, console log out person informations. Hello, John Snow is here. Alright, so we are almost finished with this lecture. Before we will finish, I would like to get rid of the errors in our terminal. You can see here, we have here a couple of errors. These ones are actual warnings, and actually slint is complaining here. Slint is just a set of rules that follow best practices and enforce actually you to follow the best practices, and it's not the best practice to write the console logs and the debuggers into your production code. But since we are not writing production code, we don't care, so we can ignore these warnings, and to not display them, we need to include some special word into our application file, and you can use it, and you can see it here. Use slint disable to ignore all warnings in a file. So I will copy this. Alright, let's copy this. Let's go back to our coding editors and let's paste it up here on the top of the file. Slint disable. Let's save this, and now you shouldn't display any errors in your terminal. Okay, perfect. So guys, this is the first part of our introduction to functions. We'll talk more about functions in the next lecture, but for now I really encourage you to create some functions, to debug them or to console log them, and to pass some parameters to your function and really figure it out what is happening here and completely understand this concept of a function. We'll be also talking about functions in the next lecture, so don't worry if you don't understand it completely right now. I'm sure you will get this concept in the next lecture for sure. And before we will finish, I would like to add one more thing. You can see here I'm specifying here user, but this is a parameter you can name as you want. All right, so I could call it as I would like to. So this cannot be just a user. This can be, for example, dog. This can be a cat, but this name needs to be really reasonable and needs to express data you are using here. Since we are passing here persons, and we know about this, that we are passing here persons, we should call it somehow that we understand what we are passing inside. It should reflect our data. So I think the good name would be user, or good name would be person, or yeah, something like this, because when you write here just A or B or C, this doesn't reflect your name. Of course, you can pass here C. This will be your person after all, because you're passing it, and you can access here C name and here C last name. This will work, but it's very hard to read and you don't know what's happening with your code. So I think it's better to write here user or a person, and yeah, it's better practice. So that's actually end of this lecture. Get a nice break, stretch your back, and I hope to see you in the next lecture. Cheers, guys.